Hello and welcome, our dear viewer. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode. Now today we are joined by an amazing gentleman who will be giving us his story on addiction and recovery. But before we get there, let me introduce myself. My name is Joanne Warogo and this is the Vile Iko podcast. Now to remind you, make sure that you subscribe, that red button over there. Hit it. It only takes like a few seconds and haulipi anything. Alafu pia make sure that you've hit that notification bell so that when we upload anything, you will be the first one to know, and keep it interactive on the comment section. Now let me give a chance to our guest to introduce himself. Mr. James, minaweza kuita hivyo lakini let me give you a chance to give your name.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Madam Joan, and nimeshukuru for being invited here at Vile Iko.
Yes.
My name is James Njoroge, and I'm 58 years, and I'm happy to be here.
Thank you so much for joining us. Umesema you're 58.
Yes.
Tuseme tu kweli haukai hiyo 58. You look younger. But you will tell us your journey. Let's start from how it started. Let's just start from a young age. Ulimezaliwa wapi? You know, how was school? Where did you grow up? What has your journey been like?
Thank you very much. I was born in Kandara, Muranga, St. Province, in a place called Gaishanjiro. Gaishanjiro. Sometimes when you were young, I grew up as a young boy. There was a popular song that used to say Gaishanjiro, like Ken Rogers used to sing. So as we didn't know that Kizungu, so we would sing that name. As a young boy, I grew up in a family that was devout Christian.
Okay.
I even have a bigger brother who's a priest. My father had joined seminary, but for one reason or the other, he left and married my mom. My mom, both of them have rested. My mom was at one time working in VOK, and later she became a teacher. Both of them were teachers, and I'm born in a family of 11 children.
Okay.
I'm the last born with my twin brother Joseph. Now, growing up in the village was normal. Going to school, going to the shamba, getting to do family chores. Kukatia wanyama majani, you know. Once in a while we'd rush to our granny's place. Around 12 kilometers away we go, and so on. And there was this normalcy that events like gatherings of weddings. Then there was not like a baby shower, but there was another format of maybe mtoto amezaliwa, kutembelea, and we would interact happy. Of course, was there, would sit and have the activities with mama. And as I was growing up, this when I started to realize, oh, sooner or later my dad would even organize. Though he was a teacher,
yes,
he would have his own brew, karubu, Muratina.
Okay.
And us as boys, definitely, we were the ones who were in charge of ensuring that it is well organized.
Okay.
Maybe even delivering until the day that they want to take it with the men. So over the weekend, and that would happen, and frequently, maybe holidays. As I was growing up, got to a point where we would visit some boys. Maybe there was a circumcision in the village, and maybe sooner or later, being active boys would end up maybe tasting once in a while.
So at this point, when you're slowly being introduced to alcohol. So you have mentioned alcohol.
Yes.
So what type of alcohol are we talking at this point?
We are talking about Muratina.
The traditional.
Traditional. Yes.
And you've also said that you are young boys, young men.
Well, young boys, sometimes it will be the age of around 7 years then. Of course, nowadays it will be something like 12, 13.
Okay.
And at home, my dad would be having it stocked somewhere. No entry zone. Only in weekends or certain days you go fetch and deliver to them.
So as you're fetching and delivering, that's when just being the mischievous young boy you are, you want to taste and see what is this thing.
Definitely, and of course, sooner or later there may have been now younger men than those older men who would be maybe jocular to us. And maybe would even just us and say, hey, you will also become a man, why don't you? And we would find ourselves choking and giggling all over the whole day. and the dad will know. Of course, you know the consequence. A good whipping, and Monday ni shule.
And he thinks as a story may solve and we are good. So you get into primary, you finish primary, you get into high school, and then what was the journey like after that?
Since when we were young, we grew up with those kind of that time it was normal.
Yes.
Primary, sooner or later, maybe you find a friend who would be smoking. You don't like it. In secondary school, this is where a lot of contact with like smoking happened. Because I went to high school in Gaishanjiro High School. Is a popular school in the Murang'a region. You would find maybe the bigger boys who will be in Form 3, 4, Form 5. They would be smoking, or sometimes they would dash maybe through some place we used to call DC, dangerous corner. Maybe they'll go buy their own cigarettes, or buy something, or they may have been sent by somebody, a worker or a teacher or anyone. So sooner or later I would get into contact with that. And through there were no more problems, coughing and so on. Although I didn't get addicted that time, but I got into contact with it.
Yes.
But when I went to college in Murang'a High School, this is when I got into contact with the alcohol really for the first time. I was doing my CPAs there.
Yes.
I started with the ACNC, and I also went to CPA. And part of computer, that time it wasn't a lot. But there was a lot of partying in Murang'a town. A lot of partying, and it wasn't a big deal. But of course, the waste is the same. Wasting a lot of school fees, money, health, and so on.
Yes.
And then I got an idea that drinking is good. But then I got scared when a friend of mine whom we used to call Muzungu, one day came from a weekend. He came back without a molar. He was half drunk, and he didn't have a lot of pain, but a lot of headache from hangover. But when he went to eat the normal rice, he didn't have a tooth, and then the gum started swelling. So this is when I got scared, and I said no. If the consequence of alcohol is that, and then of course one of my bigger brothers would joke to me, "Sinilikuambia, you joke with it, even your nose will fall off."
So at this point, did you ever find out how he lost the tooth?
Later, one term later, that time I was a freshman. One term later, when I was going to the second year, I got learned that he had been involved in a fight in the club.
Oh.
Either of a girl or some death or something. And I got scared because the man had actually very brown skin. So the side that was swollen, it looked quite ugly. Okay. Reddish and so on. So I got really scared.
So at this point, you've had contact with cigarettes, you have had contacts with alcohol. I would assume that you've also been introduced to other types of alcohol, not only the traditional Muratina.
Yeah.
And then this happens with your friend Mzungu, and you get scared. So at what point really did you now get into actual contact where it is you using alcohol and cigarettes at the same time? What happened between this time?
Thank you very much for asking. Now I'm from Murang'a. I went to college in Kabete.
Yes.
Where I furthered my ACNC and finished off my CPA. I could only do the section 1 of CPA.
Okay.
And that time I also started doing computers. Life was fast moving. Computer parts, memory, and so on. That was the in thing. And we would get a lot of money very fast. And that was the first time I started meeting my wife. That was 89.
Okay.
Now, when we were doing a lot of activity in Nairobi and so on, I would get some contracts from some people because I was very good in computer. I even was requested by our former MP, Mr. Gashuru Karenge, that I go and assist them to do something. Within a very short time, we got connected so well, and I started learning computer repairs and so on. This is when now money started flowing in. Of course, I got to some two contracts with the UN projects. We even went with the Mheshimiwa in Sirisia, the current speaker. And also Madam Charity Kalukingilu. we will do such programs for women groups and so on. And there was some money that was flowing in. And this is when I started remembering, oh, by the way, there was something like alcohol. Now, there was something that I have realized I didn't have then. Even recently, I realized I did not have. Why? Because I had grown up in a protected environment.
Yes.
And was the last born. I had very poor people skills, knowing who is who and what they want from me or what can I want from them. So that time I started making money, friends would start misusing me or over-influencing me to go into drinking, spending my money, my time, and so on. I hadn't noted, but now I see that. So I started drinking, and sometimes we would go drink over the whole weekend. I would go home to my newlywed wife with a lot of stories, and you know, it is that now. Of course, I would have a lot of money still remaining.
Yes.
I would show her, imagine, see how much I've made in those 3 days. Of course, being a new person, she would just believe for the sake of it. And then later on, I would see what mess I have. Then I decided never to drink. That was early 90s.
So at this time when you're drinking, yes, it was just for leisure. It wasn't necessarily affecting your life, was it? It was just, you know, it's just normal for people to go to work and then maybe during the weekend ama in the evening tunaenda mnashikana kama wazee, you know, ka drink hapa na pale. That is what it was like.
Yes, later on, now that is the beginning. Later on, that was 90s.
Yes.
2000 projects started coming in. Even my people, my siblings who are bigger, they would have big activities where they would refer me to somebody and would get some additional money project.
Let me cut you short kidogo. Before we get to 2000s, you have told me that this job started at 1989, 1990s.
Yeah, yes.
So you decide to stop drinking between, how long did you not drink for?
I wasn't even a drinker. I just found that I had, within 1 month, I had drunk like 2 weeks, on off. Then I decided, no, this is not my thing.
So how long did you stop for before tena turudi?
That was close to 1 or 2 years, because the hustle that time, that there was a lot of money coming in, it wasn't so often. So I realized vile nilikuwa nimekaa bila pesa, bila kazi, na hii kazi ikiisha, I'll not only be in trouble.
Yes.
I'll be the foolish one.
Yes, and you're just starting a family as well.
Yes, I was just starting my family.
Okay. So now let's get into the 2000s now.
So now after I did that, the work in Nairobi, of course, for selling computers became a very good hit. We would supply even to organizations in Nairobi University. They would order. Even remember there was one time here in Kasarani, the regional center for mapping. The director there needed somebody to do something, but the fundi either hadn't come or something. So I was called through my wife, because I had become a very good geek computer guy.
Yes.
So I was told to go and show, and I was a good person being able to handle even the old people in learning. I was able to get the gentleman. In the process, allow me to comment, maybe the toilet had a problem and the fundi had not come.
Yes.
And it was thinking.
Okay.
So the director was very mad and of course very embarrassed that the good work of computer, and he's inviting guests to come and see how he's good at it in this. So when he had gone out filming, of course I was a normal guy and I could do such things.
Yes.
The stools for the fundi were there. Immediately I just changed clothes and very fast I repaired the toilet and blah blah blah, and then I went back into the computer. Within that minute when the director came, not only was he impressed, he even called us, shouted, "Hey, mwambia huyo fundi, ensure you double the money." But he was told by the accountant, it's not the fundi. I don't know who did that, because the fundi comes here and takes a whole week. But now within 2 minutes the work is done. You should pay that guy 5 times. It was a joke. For me, I was busy and I was saying, oh, I hope nobody finds out. I don't lose this job of computer.
Yes.
Blessed enough, the director came and realized that one of my trousers had a smudge. Kwani ni wewe umetengeneza? Ninaona trouser yako? Nikamwambia kwa ukweli ndio.
Yes.
Is it? So including the work of the computer and the toilet repair,
You can also.
he did a very good thing. And I think the director is now the MP for somewhere, Mount Elgon area.
Okay.
And for me, because I was not doing that to peg it for anything,
yes,
I moved on with my life. Now, I didn't go back to drinking, but I started tasting after 2000 because my wife also saw the goodness in me, and my mother-in-law recommended that I go work in Embu to an agency of Japanese embassy. It is called Tenri.
Okay.
Near Majimbo somewhere. Near, not very far from town.
Okay.
And they needed somebody to start a computer college, and that's where I went.
So now this job that you've gotten is a permanent.
Yes.
Let's call it a permanent situation now.
Yes, it's a permanent situation.
At this point, how far has your family grown?
Wow, we had 3 children.
Okay.
They were around 3 or 4 years because walikuwa wamezaliwa 92. Our firstborn Sharon, she's a doctor now.
Yes.
The second born is a Stacy engineer.
Okay.
Yule tumeambia saa hizi. Na the last born Nelly is a counselor. 1992, 97 and 98.
Okay, so they're still small kids.
They are still small kids.
But we're thanking God that at that point you've received a permanent job to at least sustain your family.
Oh yes.
Okay. So now you've moved.
So now we've gone to Embu.
Yes.
And once we arrived there, we were the Japanese people have a good culture. And of course, my persona, the way I am, that simply organized in that way, we connected with the Japanese. And they were very good people. We started the college. With my ideas, the way I was doing marketing for my computer work in Nairobi,
yes,
I just photocopied it into looking for students because I was doing the same in Nairobi. And the good thing about it is after I gave all the ideas, the gentleman, he passed on and may God rest his spirit. Alikuwa anaitwa Mr. Shojiri. He asked me, you see, wewe mwalimu mzuri, roho yako safi, nani mwalimu mwingine wewe afanya yeye? Then how can we work with who else can?
Who else do you know?
So immediately in my mind I told God, please, my wife is a fast learner. I've been teaching her comms. And that's what I did.
Okay.
I think I'm allowed to say this. Ilikuwa inabidi namsomesha sasa jioni 2, 3, 4 hours up to midnight, ile masomo atakuwa akisomesha asubuhi. And believe me, hakufanywa interview. Tuliambiwa kuja na huyo mwalimu unasema sitaki jua kama bibi ama ni nani, leta.
So sasa ni familia yote, everyone can gain from this now.
The God helps us, Mungu alitusaidia that we were somehow ethical. We give each other the right respect at work.
Okay.
And
did you ever find out that was your wife?
Immediately.
Okay.
But the madam, the missus to the director, connected with my wife so well.
Yeah.
Of course, my mom-in-law had a lot of influence because she had stayed in Embu for a long time. For which I am very thankful, although when you come back to the story of addiction, shetani ashindwe, hana adabu, anapiganisha watu. makes even the good people who have done each other, you mess up. Yeah.
Sasa, we are very interested now that you've talked about it, now that you've talked about your mother-in-law, what happened? How did we get here?
Now I've come down to Embu. This guy who was very good, is very good, yes, and connecting very well. Actually, the college hit like a bomb. Kulaunch watu kama 300 walikuwa wameregister. The next month we had 700. Actually, the third month we couldn't manage them. Ilibidi wajenge extra 7 like 10 classes. Na kuajiri walimu wengine 5. Nilikuwa na staff ya watu kama 11 within 2-3 months. Not only that, ilibidi hata gate ingine itengenezwe, college hamishwe pande ingine, so that wanafunzi wakuwa kiflow na wanakuwa monitored. Na nikamorganizea vizuri hata login book na vitu kama hizo kumanage ikuwe, na actually tukaiita campus, ikakuwa ni campus.
Nice.
Actually before the Embu University, I'll say this with a lot of respect. Before Embu University started, ilikuwa Embu High. Tenri campus ilikuwa
imeshika.
Huyu mlevi Teacher James alikuwa anajulikana sana.
Yes.
Kusema tu Teacher James ni kama kusema president. Nimsiko najiona hivyo. Lakini kumbe shetani alikuwa amekaa kando tu ananichungulia.
Anakuanga hivyo.
Alikuwa anakaa pale anasema, ngoja tu. Within 7 months, a lot of money good flowing in. Hata mimi nilikuwa nakimbilia computer Nairobi because I already knew the sources.
Yes.
The places you can buy clean machines or very in the specification. I'm a computer engineer.
Yes.
So I know those. So the 7 months later, I started meeting with the friends. And remember, I had said that I had
people's skills.
Yeah, I had poor people's skills.
Yes.
So the same me, now I can't blame people. The same me fell into the same old trap. Shetani akaona hapo. So sijui ni nani, kama ni yeye ama mlevi ama ni wengine wananitumia. I would look for opportunities to be with the friends, to feel I belong. Before I was not belonging with my wife because I didn't have money. Now I have that money, I want to belong even more than to my wife. Other people. Poor me or silly me, I don't know which one to say. So I started going out weekends, going to weddings of that friend, birthday of that friend. Or I was invited, there was a mbuzi, there's a goat for celebrating. How much money do you need? So
that's not an issue. Money is not an issue at this point.
So inakuwa ni kama kunyamazisha na the needs. And within 1 year nikakuwa niko na routine ya kulewa.
So at this point you're in a very respectable position.
Yes.
Your family is still growing. Watoto wako sawa. You have friends, but our friends ndio wanakupoteza kidogo. Okay, unajipoteza but wanakupoteza as well. So let's start from that.
So my family was doing well, yes. And the job was good. Actually the director even one time called me aside and we took a walk. And he would talk to me like more than a dad, like a big brother or an uncle, personal friend. And then he may have seen something that unless I deal with it, he may not or somebody else cannot. And he had started to teach me some Japanese and some mannerism, some of those things. And he realized and he commented, sitaki poteza wewe, fanya kazi tu. And later on I realized what he meant, that he didn't want to be my personal guide because in the process maybe we would collide. Yes. So he would rather let me continue working, I'll find myself along the way. So, and I was drinking. Sooner or later, I would disappear for 2-3 days. I would go to Isaac Walton. Isaac Walton is the largest hotel in Embu town.
Okay.
And I would go drink there several days, and that's spending a lot of money. At Isaac Walton, even a few hours, it spent like 5,000, 10,000 shillings. But I would go there for several days, so you can imagine how much money. Because I ended up having contracts with the deceased place, selling computers and teaching very big people who would come with contracts. We even started we started the college in Embu town. Ilikuwa inaitwa Chrome campus. Ilikuwa inajulikana sana. And many people come with contracts, and so the pombe, alcohol wasn't a challenge according to me that time.
Yes.
I would drink anytime I want, eat anything I want. A lifestyle I had never had. I had even declared I would never have, because sad to say, my dad had lived that kind of life, and we would see the damage it had done. Why? I hadn't even gone to high school, because when I was about to go to high school, well, there was no money because my dad was drinking too much.
But you never thought that this would ever come to affect you, even when you're drinking for leisure. You're not seeing your dad in yourself.
I wasn't even seeing that I was drinking. Actually, I was blocking to see myself drinking, because I had known, and I had even seen in my neighborhood, even personal friends, even during that time I was drinking. Some very senior people, some simple guys, we would even be called, whether it is goat eating, but we would end up going for a burial because somebody died of drinking complications, or going home very drunk, killed on the way. Or let's be honest, one of the situations we would go dancing, girls and so on and so forth,
yes.
And one of us would have indicated, do you see that guy that looks like you? Do you see that girl you are dancing with? Hapo, the comment of being warned, HIV positive. And sooner or later, you find that one of the guys we were mentioning, we are going for a burial. Of course, we will know 1 + 1.
Yes.
He died because of that accident with that vehicle.
Yes.
Or because of being positive.
Yes.
And here I am joking around with everybody, or even joking with that person. And some even guys, they wouldn't go sleeping with girls, but they would like joking around and jumping you, but scratching you. Maybe if somebody is positive, and we will be warned, take care. But here I don't care.
So at this point, you can actually see everyone else's experience, but your own.
Sadly.
Yes. You will not see yourself in this situation. You're not an alcoholic.
Yes.
I just drink for leisure. Kila kitu iko sawa. I still can maintain my family. I still can maintain my position.
Yeah. My children were going to the best schools then in Embu town. And of course it got to a point whereby I had to depart. I had to stop working with the Japanese gentleman. And that's when I went to start something I could do, and that's where Chrome College started.
Why did you have to depart? Why did you have to leave?
Something happened. There were issues that came about. Like I would request for a small loan. That time I hadn't started drinking. That was the first year. Okay. I would request for a small loan, but then a kind of clever language will come in, like kama wewe sio kanisa ya Tenrikyo, pesa pia hakuna. Kanisa ya Tenrikyo was the organization had a Japanese based church there. Yes. So if I don't join that church, yes, you will not get. I didn't blame them then, and I don't blame them now. Yes. Because almost everyone would be doing that. Unless you do this, you can't get this. Yes. But I felt because I have children, I was sensitive to that issue. So for me, I didn't feel sad because of the lack of being given loan. I saw warning. Then the children got to that church almost every day morning, and they remain there most of the time. Then what is happening to them? I realized I had to go. Now issue ya loan ilikuwa ni kama yenye imeprovoke the clear picture. And I also saw I'm in trouble because I'm drinking, na tunaanza kukosana na boss. So acha tu jitoe. Ikabidi, then suddenly before I decided to leave, the watchman whom nilikuwa nimeinterview just 1 week before, kumsaidia, alikuwa na sani yake, alikuwa anafanya kazi huko. Akatusimamisha jioni moja, akatuambia nimeambiwa niangalie vitu zenu. I was told to look at your things. Me in my simpleness, mwambia, well, here they are. Hata sitaki kuambia huafai. It's your job. That's why you came here. So there's an underlining issue that was going to, something was going to blow up, so that's what you were trying to prevent. This gentleman alituambia, na msimame hapo, mkubwa anakuja saa hii. Ama sio hivyo, uache hii kitabu ya mwanafunzi. Ndani, kwa nini iko na chalk? Maybe mwanafunzi akiwa classroom alikuwa anafanya kazi, yeye ni mwenyewe alipack na kachoka. Only one piece. Hata si kubwa. That one gave me an idea what is happening. And then the way we have been brought up is if you see an indication of antagonism, leave, don't bother. Okay. Just take off, because whatever is happening, it's not for you. Okay. So I just told that gentleman, it's okay. Naweza kuachia vitu zote, hata vitabu zangu. Mwili yangu nitaleta kesho because kazi inahitaji. Na that's what I did. Hata nikapigia director mwenyewe nikamwambia, that time the mobile handset had come in. And in my position I had been in a position to buy one. So nilimpigia nikamwambia, najua napiga na simu ya nyumbani, lakini tafadhali vitu zangu nimeacha kwa gate. Watchman ako hapa, msalimie, ameshika chalk kapisi kamoja ya kitabu ya mwanafunzi. Now get us to this point where you're saying, you had mentioned your mother-in-law. I want us to get to the point where sasa addiction imekuwa mbaya, so that then we can move to recovery. Yes. What was that point where you got to ukajua sasa ni kubaya kabisa? Thank you for mentioning that. Actually, my wife had done a very wonderful thing I see now, but then I used to see it as degrading. Alikuwa ameenda out of her way, akaongea na a certain counselor wa rehab ilikuweko pale on your way to Meru, not very far. Showground ya Embu, kuna rehab ilikuwa hapo. Na huyo gentleman akakuja all the way. Akanisubiri in the shopping center iko karibu na pale tulikuwa tunakaa. Karibu prison, Embu prison. Na tukaongea kidogo, nikamwambia because alikuwa ameona niko na shida, na my wife encouraged me, akaniambia siongee na huyo, anasema wanasaidianga watu. Hata yeye alikuwa na hiyo shida, and that's what the gentleman shared me. We actually often talk on the Facebook. Anaitwa Mr. Inchoni. Na wali niongelesha na I went there. The counselor that time, sikuwa ninaelewa, alikuwa na come down to my level for me to be able to open up. So my wife helped me, nikaenda huko. Kumbe I took the advantage of the counselor being so nice and to me, nikamwambia acha nifike hapa nitakuja. That was a neighborhood I had never been.
Yes.
But a drunk is always a drunkard. No, correction. A human being is always a human being.
Yes.
We know how to breathe. So anywhere I go, I have to breathe.
Yes.
For a drunkard, breathing is knowing how to look for beer. Regardless where I go, I would know who to talk to and how to get it. Pap. Hata mahali kunaonekana watu wote ni wokovu.
Utaipata tu.
Atapata tu. Sadly, within minutes I was able to even know where what and nikajua nyinyi si wawerevu, sikunywi, nitarudi nikiwa soba ndio muone niko mzuri. And that's what I did. I played good. Nikamwambia nilikuwa na kuna hora magoro, nikunyosha miguu. And so we went and talked and I behaved the good guy. Ninapewa lesson, ninasomeshwa, ndio.
So they think you're getting help at this point.
Yes. So I started every day when going home. I go home tipsy. Kwanza ni ile changa original tough makali in Kiembu inaitwa makali. Yaani changa ile hata kibiriti ukiwashia hapa. Yes, so fine. So sadly my wife knew that sikuwa ninasaidika, but she tried her best. Of course, ni support of course from the dear mother-in-law. And now I see that it was a big bad wasted effort, because by now Chrome College ilikuwa ni kama cyber college, lakini that time hata Embu High School ilikuwa imeanza ikiwa Embu High School. Wao walikuwa wamekuja town kuanza cyber, waone kama watatafuta wanafunzi. So us tulikuwa mbele. By now you see shetani anatupa mawe pahali anajua kuna kitu.
Yes.
So later on I fell into it. Chrome College meisha. Of course other colleges would come up, and I had to move away from Embu because definitely I had been used to having money all the time anywhere anyhow. Like jina yangu nimeiharibu mimi mwenyewe. Of course that time sio mimi nilikuwa nimeharibu jina. Unajua ni nani?
Ni nani?
You know already, it's my wife. Nilikuwa na blame. Isipokuwa ni
according to you, si wewe, mimi hakuna kitu nimefanya. Isipokuwa ni kwanza I am very broke. Uko na mbao. Sasa unaninyima sababu siko kazi. Ni wewe tu unafanya blame. The same wife that was trying to get you counseling, sasa imekuwa ni yeye.
Not only counseling. Ile kazi nimefanya, nilikuwa napata pesa nyingi. Ni yeye alisaidia nipate.
True.
So I don't know. I lack words when I remember such things. I only tell God, continue blessing my wife, my children, because going through all that, and eventually, sad to say, I had to move from Embu, and sadly, I may have in the process. Nowadays, I can be able to see that in the process, nilimharibia jina, because it doesn't matter whether ni mimi nilimfuza nini ama nini. Yeye aliweza to become a lecturer.
Yes.
Akaajiriwa na Kenya Institute of Management. Hata si kwanza Kenya Institute, tulikuwa tunasomesha na yeye Kangaru Government School. Licensed lecturers. Tunasomesha ma-DO, ma-DC, nini, contract kubwa. The same person who helped me.
Yes.
Lakini nikitoka hapo, sijui ni ma-DO, ni chief, sijui nani, tunaona saa ngapi? Ni sawa. Wewe tutaonana saa 3, hiyo na wewe hiyo mkutano saa 5. Hiyo yako tutaonana kesho. Lakini hiyo saa 5, of course it means mpaka kesho asubuhi kwenda kuwasomesha class. I'm too drunk.
Yes.
Hangover.
So now you have to move from Embu, meaning at a job yenye your wife had gotten PIA, she has to let go.
Now I see I may have damaged her name, of course, by proxy, you know. And it's very sad. Eventually we had to move.
Yes.
And we had to move, and of course, nasema we had to move, but literally she's the one who was moving. because hata pesa kama sikuwa nayo ya kukunywa ama ya kukula na ya hata kulipa transport, you know.
She's the one who's moving the family
hata
now.
kujalia watoto wale nilikuwa nawajalia sana now, of course she's the one who was following up all that time. But that time I couldn't see. I was ulevi
too deep.
Ulevi inakuanga me, myself na nani mwingine? Me,
myself and I.
Yeah.
Watu
wengine siwajui. And
so now you've literally lost your job. You're almost at the verge of losing your family. It's just that your wife stuck with you.
Yes.
God bless her for us.
Oh yes.
You have lost literally everything. So you have to move from Embu. Is that where the recovery journey now started? Because hapa hauna kitu. Where did you move to?
Now from Embu, actually before even to Embu, this guy you are seeing here has even decided to talk with the brothers and sisters. Bibi yangu, hiyo familia ya bibi yangu, ninaendewa Embu. People are against me in Embu. That my mom was still alive. And this guy was totally sick. I was totally sick because I was too dependent on mom, on family, on my brothers, on somebody to do some blame game.
Yes.
Nilipewa nafasi niende Rwanda. Nikapata contract na kampuni ya kudeliver newspapers. Ilikuwa ni forward something ya Rwanda. Hata watu wengine wakubwa huko na wakumbuka. And nikaanza huko to manage it because walikuwa wanaona ni kama hakuna kitu nafanya Kenya. I went there for around 9 months and then came back. When I came back with some money. My wife anaona mtu amebadilika, lakini hakuna kubadilika. A few hours nikitoka nje hapo kwa duka. This guy when he comes back,
like you said, you will find ways to find that alcohol.
Even in Rwanda. Actually, I thank Rwanda people. One word I can say, if you're watching and listening, murakoze chane. Asanteni sana negado. Nashukuru watu wa Rwanda because ni wengi waliona the mess I was in. Na wengine hata walikuwa wananiambia Njuti pole sana. Njuti kamera. Yani rafiki pole sana, jikaze tu. Kamera jikaze tu.
They would see that you're actually sick. You're trying but you hauko sawa.
Lakini nikianza kuongea kama vile madam hapa amesema tikio kizungu nyingi. They're just words and empty words, nothing more. This guy is lost. Because the only thing I was looking for ni masaa yaishe, yapite saa 11.
Wende ukatafute kinywaji.
Story ingine.
Yes.
Drunk till tomorrow, masaa kuhesabu. So I came back to Kenya. My wife received me back again. And I had even carried one computer tinene ni kufanya kazi huko. Na nika-impress watu sana. Huko wakiona, that was 1998. Mtu anakuja na computer huko. Na huko hata computer kufika ni shida. Walikuwa wanaona sijui. But then what was I doing? Nothing. Drunk all the time. Came back a more drunk person. My wife alikubali and eventually we had to move. This when we moved from Embu to Nairobi.
Okay.
Now when we were moving, my wife alikuwa anasema tunaenda kukaa, lakini of course alikuwa anajaribu ku safeguard the family. So we moved to Nairobi, lakini sio Nairobi. It be to move all the way to Limuru, near her home place where she was born.
Okay.
Because this is where she could, whatever circumstance, that's where she could.
She
because
could manage the family.
Husband, mimi sasa, I'm not doing anything. Actually, yes. I'm draining the family.
Yes.
Lakini that time nilikuwa ninaona bibi amenipeleka kwao ni aibu gani? I was literally sick. Don't hate me.
Yeah, no, it's okay. I understand.
I was very sick and alisaidia watoto because at least, especially firstborn Sharon, who's a doctor now, aliweza kuendelea shule, kupata shule huko. Hiyo ili ya Limuru. Nao wasichana wengine walimeenda kusomea huko Meru na wakamaliza. Now I had gone down in drinking so much, I couldn't do anything until one day, within 3 months when I stayed in Limuru, I was feeling so insecure. You know, blame my wife, of course, because yeye ndiye alikuwa karibu. Until one day niliingia kwa nyumba, nilikuwa nimeongea na I think one of my brother or my sister or my mom. Wakachangana pesa. Nilikuwa nimwambia hapana, siwezi kaa huku, ni kwa my wife, sijui bla bla bla. Ile pesa walikuwa wananisumia za kusurvive. Imagine niliitisha kalori ya mtu fulani wa mbali nikafagia nyumba, vitu zote nikatoroka nazo. Wapi? Kwetu nyumbani.
I know in most situations it usually is made to seem like it is women ndio wanamaliza familia, ama yeye ndo atarudi aende nyumbani na bebe kila kitu, but in this situation it was actually you. But let's wait and see what happened after this, now when you went back home. Yeah, so thank you so much for watching these episodes. There will be a part 2, so keep locked in. This is Vile Eco Podcast. Thank you so much for watching.